Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's our chess show on IBM Pod TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and my wonderful guests today are Grandmaster Mikhail Marian and his lovely wife, artist Maria. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Great to
you.
Hello,
see you.
Hello.
Of,
nice to see you again.
yeah, of course. And of course, Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much for having me, and glad I was able to be on after all.
Yeah.
Arrangements being uncertain until yesterday.
Wonderful. And I would like to ask Maria, we haven't seen your art for a long time. And
Mhm.
finally, today is the day. There's one painting lately of one of yours that I absolutely admired is the running horses. And in today's game, which is still going on, there was a advantage of a horse or of course, knight, as we say in chess, over bishop. And nobody ever thought about in chess the advantage of two knights. Two bishops, yes, everybody knows about that situation, but two knights, nobody ever does it. But you've done it in your one of your final fantastic paintings. So please show it to us.
Yes.
Uh, Unfortunately, I can to bring here my painting with horses because it's extremely big. It's
Mhm.
about 1 meter at 1 meter, and
Mhm.
Is it,
but maybe next time
yes,
I think
please?
about it and show it.
Maria,
But
is it as big as last day of Pompeii?
I think about that size, but
Hmm, I see.
Kitty
uh,
cat.
oh yes,
Yes,
it's our new
newest
cat.
newest cat.
Yes, the
Hmm.
newest cat because now we have three cats, and
So did you
uh,
trade your old cat for the new one? How did you?
No, no,
no,
no.
no, no, all the cats in our house, but
Uh-huh.
the cat is very, very strange because she love us. It's truly love because she can
She wants to be all the time with us.
yes.
She needs to. She requires being caressed, and okay, she also requires food, of course, but that's less important. But you know the story how we got this cat. In the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, Maria told me, "Look, Mikhail, we are already 5 years together, and it's already the sixth year started.
Hmm.
And for the first 5 years, we gathered together five animals. What will happen now?" And then she added, "Don't you even think of it." And then the war started. And then there was the first refugee we helped, this young girl, Vika, who came and actually stayed with us for more than 3 months. Just
Wow.
today in the morning, actually it was the night. We took her to the airport. She flew to Denmark. She tries to make her to herself a situation there. So we said, okay, maybe instead of the sixth animal, we got Vika. Okay, which is better than
Yes.
very very fine girl. She turned 18 here in our house. And then one night, we were after we have helped another Ukrainian family. It was 3:30 in the morning, and Maria suggested, let's go to have a coffee at the OMV gas station. And then this cat appeared. And first she wanted to eat. She was really, Maria bought something for her. She ate it in no time. And then she started coming like this, to caress her. I was smoking my cigarette. I said, okay, in half an hour we'll be home. Okay, tomorrow is another day. And then I hear something very familiar. Mikhail, we have a problem. The problem was that she could not detach herself from the cat.
Yes, because
And
she was a little bit sick,
Hmm.
and I think it's need to help her because okay, it's dangerous.
this is just a moment. Our my okay, now everything is fine. Okay. The charger was not charging. It was
But
disconnected.
tell me, is that now your goal to, with each year of being together, get one more animal?
No, 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 no. I don't want it because it's now it's our house is full. It's completely full because some cat running around the house and the dog and outside the house also and everywhere is no, no. It's just bizarre.
It's a bit much. We will not get rid of any of them, but one more, okay, of course, each time it becomes more difficult.
And about the
Yeah, so
painting,
let's
I
see.
also love dance. I can dance, but I just love it. I just love watch dance and different style. But then it's more passion.
Oh,
uh,
oh, that's one. Yes, that's fantastic.
Oh, yes,
it's
yes, it is.
it's about dance on the chessboard, and also chessboard is here, and I think it's really nice.
Maria, what kind of dance is that? Is that lambada or
Yeah.
I think it's something about Argentinian
All right.
tango.
I was just about to say it
My
was more
one of
Argentina
my
than Spain.
favorite after the ballet, it's Argentinian tango.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, I saw a real Argentinian tango show in Buenos Aires just about 2 years ago when we were on a cruise, and it's a great experience. What a fantastic! It's a hour and a half, maybe 2 hours long show, but it's you're becoming completely mesmerized and part of the show, even as
But
you do
on
that.
the chessboard or without chessboard, I don't understand.
Oh, that one was without chessboard, unfortunately. Yeah, they were not as sophisticated as you are. But anyway, thank you so much for showing to us. Now let's talk a little bit about chess, which is our subject, and of course, chess candidate tournament, which is held now in Madrid. 8 top players, excluding world champion Carlsen, and
And Karyakin.
Karyakin, yeah, for
Yes.
different reasons, but both of them were not playing. Yeah, but let's see. I think it's too late now to make um, prognostication about this tournament because it's already underway. There's already
Right.
2 rounds being played. So let's now, based on the watching these 2 rounds of play, how everybody's done in your opinion. What are your favorites today, based on these 2 rounds, and how it will continue to develop? Ken, would you like to start?
Yes, well, I mean, we saw Caruana play a beautiful strategic game against Hikaru Nakamura yesterday, and he also played some very deep preparation today. Whether he could have taken advantage of it by sacrificing the exchange in the final position where they agreed to draw is an open question that Judith Polgar was discussing. But I think Caruana definitely has come prepared to play. So he's one of the leaders. And let's see, wait, the other leader is, sorry, I have to hunt here.
Nepomniachtchi.
Nepomniachtchi. I was about to say it was Nepomniachtchi who won. Yes, and he was, of course, on the receiving end of the draw from Caruana today. And then, as far as the losers, Ding Liren only drew, but Hikaru Nakamura is right now trying to get back to even against Timur Rajabov.
Mhm.
And so I think then Firuzja, I think, is showing his, needing to learn the ropes or his novicedom because he's had to escape 2 bad positions. I mean, he should have lost today. And I think in round 1 he was in trouble too, right? Is that so? Was he in trouble, or was he the one trying to dictate? No, he was in a little bit of trouble. So
Mhm.
so anyway, so he's gotten off, I think, to the rockiest start, even though he has an even score.
Well, the old saying is when you're sitting and playing a poker game, and after 15 minutes you couldn't figure out who is the patzer, probably you are the patzer.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, if you can't, then you are. Yeah.
So if that's the case, who is what is the weakest link in this tournament so far? Is it Rajabov probably, or who else?
Well, you have to say either Rajabov or Ding Liren based on the scores,
Hmm.
but I really don't know. I mean, there are no truly weak links here. So
Maybe it's too early to say. So
yeah,
even but yesterday's game, I was fascinated with this game, Dingliren and Nepomniachtchi, and it's kind of very interesting, very deep game actually. A lot of moves I couldn't appreciate, like H4. I was asking myself, do White really force to play such kind of, in a way, maybe even dangerous move? At least it gives black easy target to play against. Mikhail, what do you think? Have you seen that game?
Yes, thinking about outsiders, I don't think that we can put Firuzia and Rajabov on the same level. I mean, Rajabov is a very good player. He has a very deep understanding. While Firuzia, at least in these 2 rounds, he showed that he's not really prepared to play a tournament of this strength. So, okay, Rajabov is going to lose today because he blundered. Firuzia didn't lose both games only because the opponents just allowed him to escape. I mean, yesterday, for instance, Rajabov played a fantastic middle game against Firuzia, who outplayed him completely, and the position was winning. And then, okay, he saw for a long time. He had some time pressure, but then Firuzia got even less time than him. And then, I mean, 94, when Rajao played 94, I mean, to exchange that knight for the useless bishop on d5, I mean, that was just like giving him oxygen, you know. I mean, the move a player with Rajabov's understanding cannot do. It's something. Okay, the same with Rapport today. Okay, he got a winning position. Of course, Firuja didn't put up much of a resistance in the end game, and then suddenly he gets a winning position. He has time, and he starts blitzing, and then suddenly it's a draw.
Oh, Mikhail, you remember the old saying of Dr. Tarash, when he said, "It's not enough to be a good player. You also
It's
have
a
to
good.
play well."
yes,
No, but actually, I think that most of the players show that they are not really prepared. I mean, to prepare to play and win such a tournament. I mean, most of, maybe without exception, maybe. Um, Personally, I had some hopes with Ding, but for instance, yesterday he got himself tricked because, okay, he played this English variation, which is
Well, can
completely.
you show this game while we're discussing it? The game Ding Liren yesterday against Nepomniachtchi.
sure. Yes, actually, I want to show you one thing first. So let me
Oh,
share my
okay.
screen. Just now, Hikaru Nakamura played the kind of move that. So let's see. So I have it in my other browser window. Hikaru Nakamura played the kind of move that might be something that Kasparov tweeted, uh, where if Caruana had found a move, he would have said, "Lock him up. He's consulting an engine." So Hikaru found a very deep move, which the engine likes, King F2. But I have no idea why White should play his King to F2 in this position, going away from the black pawn. It's not like the king is vulnerable to a bishop check. So why is King F2 an effective move? Nevertheless, Hikaru just executed it on the board. He must be calculating something that I certainly can't see.
Well, he
Um,
wants to do Rook H8 check. That's what he has in mind.
but why couldn't he do it before with his king on G2? Uh, so it's mysterious. We'll find out. Um,
Hmm.
but this will also, by the way, this and yesterday's game, Nakamura and Caruana, will exemplify what you said at the beginning of the show about a good knight dominating a bishop.
Hmm.
But however, let's go to the Ding Liren games. I have these games here. So this actually, I will say that on my screening measure, um, Ding Liren's play occupied all the bottom places. yesterday. So for quality, and there's another thing about this too. I already would love to have this position as black. I didn't know if English players if I always knew that I could get my pawn to e4, I would love playing against the English. But that's just my old style. So although the engine still says that white is fighting for a little advantage, I know I already like this a lot for black. Um, so and the game proves out that way too.
Here I played the d4 in a game, and
You
I
played
got d4 instead of 93.
Instead of 93, yeah.
you played b4
D4 is
sacrifice,
better.
yeah.
No, d4.
Oh, d4. Okay, yeah, the d4 makes sense to me. Sure.
E takes d3, e takes d3, and I got a stable advantage actually. But okay, 93 is also good.
Yeah, I just see that white's undeveloped and all black's pieces are active. There's a pawn on e4. I'm going to attack as black. I'd love to have this position as black.
It's very funny for me to hear your evaluation because I
You
cannot
play for white.
understand a thing from what you say.
Yeah, well,
Of course, chess is not one-sided. So
yeah. That now, okay, well, so let's attack. Okay, so I mean, now the engine likes white, but nonetheless, I was known as a hacky.
It's very sick.
Yeah, it's very cheap. Yes.
And the knight on a6 is not.
What about this h4? It bothers me. Why would white have to play? Mikhail, would you play h4 in this position?
No, basically, I believe I would just take the pawn and then ask him to show with the knight on a6.
Yeah, that's true. Black's knight is.
I mean, do we talk about development? Okay, then explain me what the knight is doing there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
no,
the engine is only going to bring the knight back.
Yeah, but okay, if this is the move, then we are a pawn up.
Yeah,
this is simply winning for white.
I'll admit that this is not so.
If knight c7, bishop g2, and black can resign. I mean, you understand.
Yeah.
No, of course, h4. I thought it's an interesting concept, and now d takes e3. I think that white still has the better position.
Yeah.
Here, but then he started. No, I mean he has some sort of stable thing. Maybe now b5. Maybe I don't know. Because white is very solid, and black's pieces just look how ridiculously placed they are.
Yeah.
The queen, but he played too slowly, and suddenly Nepo managed to. Okay, why not b5 for instance? I don't know.
Yeah,
or rook a d1. Rook a d1 for instance. I don't know.
Yeah, rook a d1 actually is probably. I think that's probably the most sensible move, or rook f d1.
Or f d1. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure about the rooks. Yeah, maybe f d1. Yes, because there is nothing to. But he started playing very slowly, and then Nepo simply got his pieces into play, and then the king side was just weak. Okay, knight b2. You understand?
Yeah. So I mean, well, black's attacking again.
No. Now I start being worried about white's position.
Yeah.
Now finally.
Yeah, black's pieces are on a lot of good squares. But we're attacking e4, and now black allows white to just take on e4. This is maybe the surprising move that black is trying to play h6 here. Instead, I would have probably reflexively played rook a e8, and that's the second best move according to the computer. Computer actually wants black to attack right away with g5. So, anyway. Now, but queen d2, I do have to say that's a mysterious move. If you were ganging up on e4,
he doesn't do anything. That's the problem. He doesn't do anything.
He wanted to sacrifice on g5, maybe.
He didn't.
Yeah,
that might have been. Yeah, but then e2 is also hanging. I don't know, and bit c4. Yeah, now he starts playing king h2 like Carlsen, but it doesn't apply here.
Right. Now white puts the knight offside, and that's one defender less. And
yeah, but the knight was on a bad path anyway. I mean, I think he went wrong a long time.
Yeah.
Before.
Well, now black is definitely coming here. Oh, we've grabbed a pawn. Oh my, okay. And we didn't take back on. We couldn't take back on h4 because oh my, if you
Rook
can't
G6,
take
I
back on
assume, yeah.
h4, oh yeah, well anything's bad here. So okay, so
That's
this is
lost.
just yeah, taking back an h4, you get killed on the g file. So okay, yeah,
No, and now if you look at these pawns on the e file, which were strong somehow earlier, I mean, by controlling many squares, if white played something more active. Now these pawns prevent the queen from joining the defense. They are like some sort of barrier. So,
right, right. And in here, I think the one thing to point out is if king takes g2, then black has, oh yeah, you can play rook x. I was going to say rook h3, queen h3, and rook takes f2, but actually rook takes f2 first. This is very pretty.
yeah, that's
Uh,
mate, you know.
so this is mate because white's queen is blocking. So this is the
Yeah.
prettiest variation in the game. Black has sacrificed two rooks. So um, it's funny, when I was looking over the game yesterday, I saw it with queen h3 check and then rook takes f2.
I have only one interesting question because, again, I was listening to commentaries by Vladimir Kramnik, and he was suggesting in the position where knight takes e3 and Jinlichen played pawn d takes to e3, and Kramnik suggested instead pawn f takes to e3. Uh, be- because then he would have more flexibility because with d pawn takes on e3 white lost any flexibility. It's a good defensive position with like a pawn, very strong position in the center, and there are so many uh, places with the pawn's control in the center. But it's not flexible enough to start any attacking play. Whereas when you take this f pawn, then at least you open a file f for your rook, and you can always play d3 or d4 later on. So you have more flexibility. Mikhail, would you agree with that?
No, of course, with the pawn on h2, f takes e3 would be the move. But with the square on g3 weak, I'm
Yeah,
not
I
so
would say
sure.
this is too weak.
I'm not so sure if
And this is a target on the d file. White can't use the d file on this line. So
yeah, it means an extra tempo because the rook is already there. And if you play bishop f6, I could just take the bishop,
Yep.
just sacrifice the
Mhm.
exchange. You know, this simple gesture, which somehow for Caruana was impossible to do. I mean, just take any master from the past, not grandmaster, and give him the position, and they would consider rook takes b2. I mean, just the 3 pawns for the exchange and well, two actually, but dominant the position. So yeah, no, if Kramnik mentioned it, maybe it's okay. But I would be worried about my g3 pawn. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
on first thought.
yeah,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe h4 was still.
yeah,
Eventually, h4 became a sort of a point how black won the game.
right.
If pawn would be on h2, I think it would be more difficult to
Mhm.
win. If
Well, I assume that Ken is an e4 player, yes?
Yes, I'm an e4 player. Yes.
Because e4 players are just so delighted when they reach e4 with their black pawn.
Yes.
So Nepo played like an e4 player, but he somehow played a bit vabank like this
Yeah.
with knight e4. I mean, if
And it
everything
worked.
he did, and of course you have to punish this. Or okay, what Ding did was too slow somehow. I mean, and actually, I'm worried now. He may be simply in as bad form as during the first half of the previous candidates.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, he won the second part, but it didn't help him.
Well,
Yeah, it
So
was too little, too late.
yes, it's a pity because okay, he's a very interesting player. He has beautiful strategic games. I mean, okay, my favorite strategic players here would be Rajabov and Ding, but they are both. Yeah, Rajabov I didn't understand him. Well, after he played an original opening, it was obviously no preparation. He thought for a long time. Then he sacrificed the pawn, and probably Nakamura didn't react correctly. And it was about equal. And in the end game, he should have no real problems. And then he I don't know if he blunders or gives up like this the pawn on a6. I mean, he plays bishop e6 and then suddenly he cannot defend the pawn on a6. I don't know what happened to him, but I suppose he's losing. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
here, yes, this is yeah. So Nakamura has found a correct move. Let's just see if he
uh-huh.
rings it off. Yep. So there is one more. I would like to show the Caruana Nakamura game from yesterday.
Yes, that's another one very interesting.
That was actually one of the good games.
Right.
I mean, at least one of the players
Yes,
played well.
Kramnik said in his commentaries yesterday that it's a very, very high quality game by
No,
Caruana.
no, no. With this, I can agree.
Yeah.
No, the tournament in general is very entertaining, but I believe that players show their weaknesses too often. That
Yeah.
was my feeling.
Well,
You know,
there are two important strategic points in this game that I think are very instructive. So right now, with the pawns being undoubled, this is a completely satisfactory position for black, but you still have to have strategy in mind. And so it is right here, or
we
no,
don't see anything.
this move was fine. It is right here.
We don't see anything.
You don't see your board.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't see my board? Okay, well, let me reshare.
Yeah, if I could go behind you, I could see the board, but you're
Okay,
too
let's
far
see.
away.
Okay, so let me reshare, and now I'm in this window. Do you see?
Okay, yes.
So now this is move 21 of the game. So the opening was fairly equal, although as you can see, black's position is quite a bit looser. And it looks like black has this absolutely beautiful bishop on e6. Now, it's black's move, and this is
So
where
I assume that king d7 is the move, no?
right. So that's the point. So the right concept for black to have is to play the king this way, away from the open spaces of the board. And white has not even played a rook to the center yet. So white's still like 2 tempi down on development. So you have time to play king d7 to c7. And then black is completely
I
fine.
must admit I didn't see this concrete position, but now that they were talking about a critical decision, it was clear that short castle is a very heavy mistake.
Right. So
No.
instead, Nakamura castled, I guess, trying to take the initiative in the center, but the king is going to suffer from all this open space. And then the second strategic point is what happens to black's beautiful bishop. Okay. I mean, this is the most gorgeous bishop I've seen in a long time. But now let's play 10 more moves. So now black looks like black has a very nice center, and white's
No,
knight
I saw this position after the opening. I saw this position and I said that black is in trouble
yeah.
because he
It's
cannot
just-
keep. I mean, what kind of move was d5? I don't get it.
Well, it's seizing space, but now
No, it's giving up squares. I mean,
yeah. Okay, and now of course white undermines the center in classic style. And now what has happened is that black's bishop has been constrained, and we'll see it more constrained in a moment. And white, by the way, can win a pawn very soon. But now black's bishop has basically become a pawn. It's actually blocked by black's own pawn on e4. And white's knight.
But you understand that if the pawn, the g4 pawn would be on was on g7, then I'm not sure that the knight would be that much stronger than the bishop.
Right.
No, I think, I mean, okay. Of course, the bishop was having a better life before this d5 and d4 thing.
Yeah.
But the main problem is with the king.
Yeah.
I mean,
Main problem is indeed the king. And now the computer finds ways that Caruana could have pressed his advantage more. But nonetheless, we come now to the second, like the computer says that white should have played queen h5 or queen d6. But, white has a clear strategy here. And there's one more very interesting moment of the game. So we've pussyfooted around a little bit. And now black
avoided the move repetition, yes?
Well, actually, white avoided the move repetition. Well, maybe black could have repeated by playing queen
No, no,
h7.
no. Black could have continued repeating moves with queen h7.
Oh, you're right. Black could have. Yes, indeed. So black avoided the move repetition. That's very curious. Although queen h7 allows queen f4, which
Yeah, but you understand that this is Caruana who went into a move repetition today when he could have taken on b2.
yeah.
So it's not very clear what had happened if he had played queen h7. You understand?
Yeah. Well, so the engine says that if black plays queen h7, then white can win by playing queen f4, and black's queen is offside, and I don't know. It's what is black doing in this position? So the problem is that white is going to come in knight f5, and if black plays bishop d7, then white is knight d5, and there's a family fork coming up. So
did he
so
have
I
time?
think this repetition was just around the time control at move 40, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So Nakamura played bishop d7, and now a very fine point. So white could try for knight f5, and then there seemed to be incredible threats on the g file pinning black's queen. But in fact, black can survive by playing knight e5, by playing rook e5. And, white is still well ahead, but there's not any immediate breakthrough.
No, but unlike Rajabov, he knew that he doesn't have to exchange the knight for the bishop.
Right. So
I'm sure that Rajabov knew it too, but he had a moment of I don't know what, of weakness.
Yeah, but now the key difference with playing it this way
he played it like this.
Is that played it like this,
the D5.
And now you cannot play rook e5 anymore. Okay, because now white can come rook d8 check. So that's the key difference. And now black would just be losing his queen.
Mm-hmm.
So once this appeared on the board, now it truly was over. So victory for the knight over the bishop.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
defeat of the guy who didn't want to repeat the moves.
Yeah. Well, but it was just and Hikaru Nakamura has indeed won that game against Rajabov.
So Ken, what are the chances that it will be a three players fight for first between Caruana, Nakamura, and Nepomniachtchi?
I think fairly high. I think it's fairly high that there will be some three players fighting for first. Because
by the way, I noticed strange curiosity. Did you notice that Rapport played practically the same kind of thing with both colors? I mean, the structure. After c5, the break with c5 and the resultant structure. Only that yesterday he got no full version of it because he combined everything wrong, g6 with a6 with all kind of pawn moves. But today he had a similar thing against Firuzia. You understand what I mean, yes?
Yeah.
So
someone remarked that today he was playing the Hungarian variation in honor of his own country. I don't know what that is.
By the way, I don't think that was his intention because he's moving to the Romanian list. So,
but we have a Romanian variation.
Yes,
that's
he's becoming a Romanian player.
Yeah.
How come? Why?
No, it's old news already. 2 weeks ago he announced.
I missed it. I didn't know.
No, I know that he doesn't have too much support from the Hungarian Federation. I mean, financial. And I know that Judith Polgar offered him to raise some funds. It was not a small amount to help him for the candidates to prepare. And he was somehow not very cooperative. Maybe he already had the plan. I don't know. But it was strange that when he gave an interview in Romania, he played the Superbet tournament. And,
I see.
And they asked him, okay, how are you going to prepare for the candidates? And his answer didn't have much of a connection with it. But it was obvious that he wants to say that, oh, I don't have any support in Hungary, so I don't know what to do. I mean, okay, he probably was preparing the official announcement that he moves to the Romania list. I don't know what offer they made, but it's probably some good money.
It was offers that one cannot refuse, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Okay.
So no, but Judith was disappointed because actually she, as a private foundation, I mean, not through the federation,
Hmm.
she offered to help him, and he kind of nothing like
Interesting.
that.
Is he ethnic Hungarian? Richard.
Well, not a typical Hungarian family name, no, I don't know, Rapor.
Right.
Well, it's them. I mean, across the river in Buda, there are a lot of Germans, so it could be from that.
Yeah, but now he lives in Serbia for many years already in
Mhm.
Belgrade, I think.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
So he lives in Serbia now, and he's going to move to Bucharest.
no, I don't think he's going to move to Bucharest. He's just changing the list.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
see. I see. So he
uh,
will continue to live in Serbia. Yeah.
Mhm.
oh, I think so. I
Hmm.
don't know anything about him moving here. It's
Hmm.
just about the list, or maybe him. Yeah, I mean, okay. After all, why not? I mean, moving from Hungary to Romania would be a bit strange, but Serbia is not such a developed country either. So, I mean, economically, so it would be not. No, of course, it has nice places like Romania too, but I don't know. But it would feel strange because his wife is Serbian. So, I mean,
Oh, his wife is Serbian. I
yes,
see.
yes, yes, yes.
That's the reason why they're in Serbia.
No, he lives there since he was 18, because of. I mean, okay, because they were together. So he
So
has
let me
been.
picture that. So maybe Hungarians had a reservation about helping him because he lived in Serbia instead of Hungary, right? Would that
I
be
don't
important?
know. I don't
No?
know. I don't know about that, but okay. I also know that chess players, and maybe this applies to many of the Hungarian players. They are a bit of prima donnas, I mean, they don't want to be offered help. They want
Mm,
to be begged to accept
absolutely. Yeah.
help. So it's not. I don't want to give names, but you did had this situation when he was a captain
Mhm.
with a very strong player who she wanted to help him to okay, they had some funds there. I mean, the Hungarian
Mhm.
Federation, they had money there. Now I know that last year they paid to Rapport something like 3,000 euros. Or, I mean, for a player of such a caliber, it's not much money.
Yeah,
Uh,
but he can still win prizes in tournaments. So this is like basically help him to offset his living
yeah,
expenses. Plus, he
yeah,
can win prizes.
but you understand that it's a business. I mean, okay, let's take the case of Caruana. I know a bit of details because I spoke with the Italian president Panioncelli,
Hmm.
Mhm.
who was president while Caruana was Italian, and
Yeah.
I know that Caruana got a lot of money from the Italian Federation. He started as a 2400 player,
Mhm.
and he got a lot of money, and this helped him. He invested it wisely. I mean, okay, his father probably because he was a kid, he was 14 or something, and he became the second player in the world as an Italian,
Yeah.
somehow with the Italian money. And
Absolutely.
Panoncelli said, like, okay, I know that he has this offer from the Americans. I don't have anything against it, but okay, let him finish our contract. And okay, it was half a year or something like that, and then he moved to the States. So, but I mean, the money Panoncelli told me that he gets was, I mean, really,
No, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that if he's
No, and no,
he
and
was,
but
one of
Panoncelli
the top
told me
players.
very clearly. I mean, okay, we did what we had to do for Italian chess. If you
Hmm.
move to, I mean, we cannot offer more than we offer. If you move to the States, okay, we have our conscience clean. So, I mean, it's a business after all. If you are a top player, I mean, this was actually because we tend to think that okay, in the times of Steinitz and Lasker and Alekhine, Capablanca, it was not fair because the world champion could choose the challenger. But it is not that simple. because then there was no active federation. FIDE existed at some point, but it had no power. So you needed. I mean, if you are a world champion, I mean, okay, if you go on the street and say, "Hey, I'm the world champion," okay, look at me. It's of no use. They can close you to a hospital for mental diseases, like they did with Steinitz when he was claiming that he was a former world champion. So they thought he was nuts. So you have to make money out of your title. So you have to raise interest for the match with your challenger, so that the sponsor would pay for it. So
Mikhail, I was thinking about something that Chigorin was also, well, he was taking a lot of alcohol or so on, but he was also very close to be put in asylum in so-called
really,
crazy.
ah,
Yeah, very
Well,
close.
was it because of
So if
syphilis? Or?
that would be the case, guess what? Then Chigorin and Steinitz could play for a title of the champion of the crazy houses of the world.
but if
See
you
that?
don't mind approaching, do you realize that all the chess players excepting us are crazy? That's another
Wow.
joke.
Yeah, but not all crazy chess
Normal.
players are
No,
champions.
except us, except
Yeah, because I'm really normal.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, you have to carry with you like against coronavirus. You have proof of the vaccination, so you have to carry now proof of your sanity that you don't belong to a crazy house. Okay. Well, listen. So a lot of things will happen in coming week in this upcoming. What I'm planning to do, I'm planning to do the commentaries by, say, Kramnik. I like his commentaries. Although today, unfortunately, they had on this Russian channel they had Dubov and Grishuk. Grishuk says very little, and it seems to me that he's waiting for a break to have a cigarette smoke. And Dubov talks a lot. But again, what Kramnik said yesterday, he said that the approach to chess from today's players is very different from his generation, because his generation, when they played the game, they had some kind of a monumental plan, and they would adjust the plan to certain changes in the position or opponent's reply or so on. But today, they play games that don't have kind of a concept of some kind of positional development. They just go from move to move, from one position to another position, and they absolutely don't have a concept of.
It is true that young players were quoted by Kasparov as wanting to know what is the move in this position, as if it were a one by one quiz, the computer's move.
Mhm.
no, but I think that Kasparov was a monumental player. I don't think we can compare him with. I mean, he didn't just play. Okay, he was. Of course, his play was much sharper than Karpov's, but I think that his concept was global somehow. His attacking concept and everything. No, I think Kasparov has many games which are very, they're just like one piece.
Yeah, even he has a lot of positional, very strong games.
Yeah,
Not
no, and end games also. Yeah, no.
his end games, and he sometimes even I remember this last game of his match against Karpov in Seville when he needed to win the 24th game with White, and how he played, and position felt like equal but not drawish. You see, it's equal, but it's impossible to force a draw. And then because
Yes, yes.
Karpov man made some inaccuracies
No,
where
it was time trouble. It was time trouble. Okay.
yeah, and finally Kasparov prevailed, and even the adjourned position, the most of the grandmasters agree that it was just as difficult to win as for black to hold the draw.
Yeah, but it was really unpleasant for black. I
It
mean,
was, yeah, especially when the clock is running and you're
mhm,
eventually going into time trouble. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, so it's a great week ahead of us. There's a few more rounds in the candidates, and I hope we'll have next week. We'll discuss everything what's
No,
happening.
I
Yeah.
hope it stays as interesting as now. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about the qual. I mean, no, the chess is not bad, but as I said, they show their weaknesses too often. Somehow
Yeah.
they don't seem to be completely in the tournament. understanding that okay, winning this tournament makes them challengers. So
Yeah, but listen, it's a long tournament. Well, relatively long, 14 rounds. So there are 2 rounds already played. We remember candidate tournaments was 28 rounds,
yes.
and not one, but several, if you remember. But we'll see. 14 rounds is not so bad.
When I was young, I was ashamed that I only had 4 tournaments of 17 rounds, which
Yeah.
didn't count as that long. I mean, I was ashamed that I never played a tournament of 20 rounds or 25 rounds.
Yeah,
So,
we don't see 15 rounds anymore. I regret that.
Mm.
The fact that
no, 15
Bygone
I had
say is
several.
13 is
15 rounds
so.
and 13 that I had to marry, yes.
Is it practically possible, even for the players who are now in a minus score, particularly Dean Lejeune, he may, if he is still in good form and he can show it, he may still have a fighting chance, even still. There's
No, I mean, I think okay, he had a bad day. Yes, and I mean, okay, for instance, Rajabov blundered today. There are some blunders. Okay, Caruana didn't take on B2. But Ding really played badly yesterday. Somehow he really played bad. Maybe there are only 1 or 2 moves which are really bad. After that, it was somehow too late. But the impression was that he was simply playing badly, starting with a certain moment. So the question is if whether he can pull himself together. I mean, theoretically, he can still win the tournament, of course, but he has to avoid such scenarios
Oh,
like
one more thing. Kramnik also mentioned about yes, opening of that game. He mentioned that if you play c4 and e5, knight c3 on the second move is stronger than g3 as the means to control the center. Do you agree, Mikhail?
well, strictly speaking, it's more of a developing move than G3. I mean, from classical standards, in most of my games I have played G3, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not the only one. I mean, Ding Liren is also playing it I mean, at a higher level. With knight c3, the problem is with the systems with bishop b4, for instance, 2 bishop
Mm-hmm.
b4. But recently, I have made a database, okay, like an electronic book with videos and a database based on knight c3 on the second move. And of course, with g3, it's a bit easier to play. You restrict black's options somehow. But knight c3, of course, is a bit more active. I mean,
Mikhail, what do you think about the to play on G3? Often in the blitz games, I play D5 right away, and C takes D5, Queen takes D5.
yeah,
You
knight
have to play
f3.
Knight F3, and you play Bishop B4. Uh,
Yes, a3, e4, ab. But I think there is a game by Asmai. He won quite convincingly with white.
mm,
I mean, a takes b4. This is a developing move. Now the rook is open.
yeah.
There are
Well,
no blocks.
it's not the opening for the World Championship
Uh,
candidate tournament.
no, no. Okay, of course, g3 has some, let's say, drawbacks, slight drawbacks over knight e3.
Hmm.
But you cannot really punish it with d5 on the second move.
Yeah, it's too radical.
I think it's this cannot be the problem with it.
Hmm.
No, the system that Naka played, but I don't think he equalized completely. I mean, of course, then pawn on e4 is nice, but it's also weak. So I'm
It's
not sure.
nice but weak. It's interesting
Yes,
concept.
tasty, tasty.
One of the politicians lately, I think Lukashenko probably, he said something funny that your life will be not very nice but short.
Was
Something to that effect.
quoting the
No, but
English
now I'm
philosopher
thinking that
Hobbes.
if the computer really thinks that after bishop takes e4, knight g4 and bishop e4, the move is knight c7, then I think it's simply winning for white, no? But there must be something better than knight c7, bishop f6 maybe.
Hmm.
The game that Ding lost yesterday. Somehow, okay, if knight c7, okay, I go bishop g2 and I have an extra pawn. Is this a game still? I mean, I don't think so. I don't understand. Yeah, so talking about Ding, yes. No, okay. Also, Rajabov. Okay, there is this syndrome. Yesterday he played his 94, spoiling his whole effort, middle game effort.
Hmm.
And today he played an interesting game, not very sound, but it was enough to equalize against Nakamura. And then in the end game, he just blunders a pawn.
Yeah.
And then I mean, of course, he did it twice. He also has to pull himself back together. You understand? So
Is he the oldest player in this tournament?
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe,
I'm just trying to remember.
maybe.
Yeah, he's 35 or 36. Yeah, maybe
Oh,
he's the oldest.
isn't he ashamed with such an age?
He's a veteran. He's a
No, and well, Firuzia, I mean, of course, he was not at the height of the tournament so far, but well, he survived. I mean, he's young, he has energy, and for some players, 14 rounds may be a lot.
Mhm.
And if he's younger and full of energy, then he may even win lost positions later. I mean, or he may even win some good games. I mean, just get a good position. And so I don't think we should discard him, but so far he didn't show like a credible candidate.
Maybe he's rusty still. And finally, just a couple of words, Mikhail, if you can tell
Yes.
us about Duda and Firuja. I think it's only two players that we sort of didn't
No,
cover.
I must confess that I don't know Duda so well. I didn't see so many games of his, but he seems that I mean I see his posture at the board, and no, he's the guy who has broken Carlsen's defeat
Yes, more
series
than
without
one.
a defeat. No, I mean he's a player who a player who plays. I mean, I mean. No, there is this joke. I mean, there is this in Pink Panther. Ah, you are Yuri, the trainer, and what I do? I train. Aha, so you are Yuri, the trainer who trains. Well, he's a player who plays. I mean, somehow he's ready to go for anything the position offers him. No, today, for instance, he got into some trouble with Dink. Actually, Dink played a very good game with Black, and then he played this G5, which was over ambitious. He weakened, and it still looks very passive for White. But then Duda found this rook b1 and b4 and opening the b file, and it was suddenly enough to equalize. So yeah, he's just playing. You can see that he's creating something. He's searching for something. The way he's sitting at the board. So I mean, he wouldn't be. It wouldn't be a surprise if he won. I mean, I don't say he's the favorite. I don't have favorites. But
Really?
no, I cannot say. Every time I name a favorite, he finishes last. This happened with Kramnik, who started with 2.5 out of 3. I had predicted that he would be the challenger and he will finally beat Carlsen. And then he finished last because he started playing so badly. And then Ding, the last Ding, he finished on the last place the first half of the tournament before it was
Yes.
cancelled. And he would have finished the last if the tournament had continued probably. But then after 1 year, he was in better shape and he won the second half. So
Well, uh, based on the track record of the last 10 years, we can see that among these candidates, there are two players, Nepomniachtchi and Caruana, who challenge Carlsen. The other, Anand is not playing, who played a few matches against Carlsen, and Karyakinov obviously is not playing. So basically, it's fair to say that there could be a fight between Caruana and Nepomniachtchi. And I thought that Dean Lejeune could have a fighting chance, and maybe he still has. Although, based on his record of these 2 rounds, not that he lost the game, but the way
no,
he,
it's no, yeah, he lost very badly.
yeah,
No, personally, I would be not so thrilled if Caruana or Nepo would qualify because they both had their chance,
hmm
and Nepo simply showed that he's not mentally strong enough to. I mean, he lost the game and then practically resigned the match.
That was the end of the match.
Yeah, yeah.
Caruana, by the way, Caruana has never ever lost a classical game against Carlsen.
Really?
No. What do you mean? He lost? No. He lost several games.
Classical? No, classical games.
No, he lost several games. No.
Really?
Carlsen has an advantage against him, of course.
Not in
But
classical games.
in classical games, no, I have written an article about that. It's true that before their match, all the games, I mean, 2.5 years, the last games finished in draws. But earlier, Carlsen had beaten him. No, many times, including. I remember also he even beat him with a Scandinavian defense.
In classical?
With black in classical at the Olympiad or something. No, in classical. I only analyze the classical.
Yeah, just classical, yes. Because
No, but it's a long time since. I don't know after the match what were the results, but before the match it was 2.5 years that there were only draws, I think. And he came close to beating him before the match in San Luis.
maybe I have to search. Really, I don't remember. But I got it from one of the commentators. One of the grandmasters mentioned that Caruana has never lost a classical game against Carlsen. I didn't verify that information.
I didn't lose any classical game against Carlsen.
Yes.
I never lost a classical game against Carlsen. Even
I
against
have a
Richard
draw,
Carlsen.
but Caruana, and I don't remember if Caruana ever beat Carlsen. I believe he beat him once or twice. I believe he did that. I believe the result was something like 5-2 to Carlsen's favor, something like that. Not too many wins, but okay, not only draws.
I remember when I was a little boy and Petrosian defeated Botvinnik in World Championship. It was 1963. And I came over to the Odessa chess club, and there was they were analyzing the games, and so he asked any question, and I said I have a question. Okay, what is it? He said, well, look, Petrosian, by beating Botvinnik, he proved that he is a better player than Botvinnik, but he never defeated me. So why would I recognize him as a world champion? I really don't recognize him until he will beat me. And this, he was a coach. He was about candidate master. He was furious and he almost threw me out of this room. And then he said, okay, sit down here. I'll play you a game and you'll see what is the real master. You don't need Petrosian. Just me would be enough. And we played and he sacrificed all pieces and I easily won the game. He almost passed away right there. So he said, okay, we'll play one more game. I said, no, I have no interest playing you. But if Petrosian will be here in town, I'm willing to play him. So, but I never played Petrosian since.
That's fascinating.
By the way, can you imagine somebody playing Bishop B2 with Petrosian's rook on B8?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, okay. Even there were times when I was under Petrosian's influence. I would just take the bishop like that and then think what to do next. I mean, no, really. I mean, somehow, somehow it was strange for Caruana, but this also happened during his match with Carlsen. I mean, actually, Caruana tried a bit to win the match. But the funny thing was that Carlsen did not really try. I mean, he had, at least in the first and last game, I mean, not to win those positions. I mean, it's somehow really hard to understand. So, yeah, I think if we want to see a real spectacle, there should be some other player, but I don't know who. I was hoping. Sorry?
Rapport, maybe?
Yeah, but Rapport is very emotional.
Yeah.
Rapport, we saw him to the. I mean, okay, if you are emotional against Carlsen, he eats you alive.
But everyone is very emotional.
But Maria, I think Duda is doing very well against Carlsen in this Rapid and the Blitz games and so on. Dudek
Yeah,
has
no,
to.
no. I also thought about Rajabov because he's a very sound player, and probably his understanding is wider than Carlsen's. And of course, if you have such an opponent, it depends on whether you keep the game as a Carlsen game, or you allow it to become a very wide. And because Carlsen has this talent to keep the position within the ranges he really understands, he really feels, and has this special talent. So if you can take him out or not of these. But Rajabov, yeah, I mean, yesterday and today he had his moments of weakness. I mean, you cannot make such
Maybe it's
mistakes with.
a physical problem because it's oldest in the tournament, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, of course, I don't know who said that. Some amateur asked world champion or a strong player, okay, what to do to be in optimal form, the shape during the tournament. And the guy answered him that you will know whether you are in good form or not only when the tournament ends.
Absolutely.
You don't have the control of these things. I mean,
Absolutely.
even if you start badly, you can have something like that. Something happens to you, something very unimportant. It can be. I don't know. You see a beautiful landscape. A beautiful girl smiles to you. Whatever. I don't know. It can be something like this, and then you started winning, or your opponent simply okay. You are in a bad position. Your opponent gives you chances, and you win. And then suddenly you say, okay, I'm in good shape. Let's win the tournament. But it's not easy to control.
For
Well,
women, it's more easily because you just go to the shopping and now it's less.
okay, we'll find out who's in a good form during in next few
But
days.
it's good that we have a fight. I mean, I'm happy
Oh,
with
Yeah.
yes, that already makes quite interesting tournament. There are decisive games here and there. So we'll on next Saturday's program we will analyze what's happening in the last few rounds, and we will almost at the middle of the tournament, not quite yet, but close to it, and we will figure out who is in a good form, who is not so good form, and who has the best chances to challenge. Carlsen, for some reason, I believe it's going to be two players fight between Nepomniachtchi and Caruana. And so far, I feel for some reason that Caruana is going to make it again. But we'll see. We'll see. I I don't want to bet, but if I would have to bet, I would bet on Caruana.
it can also happen the other way around. You start well, and then something happens, and suddenly you stop playing well. I mean,
That's what can happen. I listened to uh, Evgeny Bariev, who lives in Toronto, as you know. So Bariev says that with Nepomniachtchi, he could be one of the maybe second, third place. Well, he has some chances for first, of course, but most likely second, third, or so on. But there are equal chances that he will be the last one
mhm.
because he
Probably
will
said.
start losing, especially in second half turn. Bariev says that if it would be that the first um, round, first 7 rounds, let's see, are played now in Madrid, and let's see the last 7 rounds will be played in a few months. Then he would consider Nepomniachtchi heavy favorite to win it all.
Uh-huh,
But
uh-huh.
when he
Okay,
has
so
to play consecutive 14 games,
Mhm.
he says that he'll never make it. No
And
chance.
better not to play with Ding in the last round.
Well, he will play. Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
I mean, last time it was not important, but
That's right.
yeah, he
Well,
got crushed. Mm,
this year it's a different story.
mhm.
But I think for some reason this tournament is much more interesting than the last one, the COVID candidates tournament.
No, but the
Yeah.
last time you understand, it was this Corona thing first, and they were a little bit like they didn't know whether the tournament would finish or whatever. Then they canceled it, and then they played it after 1 year. Van Gaal was not there anymore. Somehow he she just said, "Oh, I resigned because I was tired and I didn't want to play anymore," and things like that. I mean, mm,
And what was really upsetting this player, Alexeyenko, who was playing in the tournament, he never plays any serious tournaments anywhere, except that he was added right in the candidates, and he played a certain role in the.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, okay, yeah, of course. No, but I mean, okay, but we can understand that the last candidates were a little bit mad by all these things. But this year, okay, they started in a promising way. Many mistakes, many weaknesses, but at least the guys are fighting.
Yes, absolutely, totally agree with you.
I mean, okay.
Listen, thank you so much for
Okay.
participating in today's program, and I'm looking forward to next Saturday. We'll have a wealth of information, what's
Yes.
really happening there, and we'll enjoy to share this with our listeners. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Have a
Thank
Great
you.
seeing you, Maria, again. Belated happy birthday, or
great to see you
you know.
again.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.